Hi and welcome. It's Amanda here. Welcome to the studio and welcome to an episode of Arts and Wellness Wednesdays here on YouTube and on the podcast. So, for those of you who are listening into the podcast today, unfortunately, you won't be able to see all the surrounding things. So, do come on to the video. There will be some extra bits of information in the video and in the show notes. I'm just literally going to turn off this fan. I came into the studio today and was immediately set upon by mosquitoes around my ankles, and it's just like I put on this burning stick, and so I've got a really pungent smell in the studio, and I didn't want the fan behind me. Anyway, so welcome to today. And I thought I would take the time today to share a bit more about the artist studio tours. And so for some of you who have been listening into the podcast, because the video version of this is fairly new. For those of you who are watching the videos and can see the signs, you're going to be seeing the signs around Barbados. And we've also got some large boards with our logo for the artist studio tours. There is over 30 artists on the tour, and you will be seeing over 25 either studio spaces or gallery spaces or just places where artists work. So I wanted to take the time today in the podcast just to really talk about the things that I've been getting on with, and also to talk about the studio tours, and I'll try and mention as many of the artists as I can in this video or in the podcast if you're listening. So this kind of week has been fairly busy, not only the week but the whole month, I think the whole year, and we've only just started. And I think it's something that as artists we need to think about, how we pace ourselves, how we I was going to say set ourselves up, but it's not set yourselves up. It is how you prepare for things that you want. So I was talking to my son today, one of my many car chats. I'm not sure how much of it he hears in between the listening to the music, but anyway, I was just really, I think I was more talking to myself out loud, and talking about how you can't really spend your time caring about what other people think. I mean, we do care about what people think, but you can't allow that to stop you. Sometimes we are so kind of consumed with what this body might think or that body might think, or fitting into this group or that group, that we kind of make that stop us from pursuing the things that we want to do. We make it stop us from stepping out or sharing that piece of work or sharing that piece of writing, whatever it is. And I'm going to be really mostly focusing on the visual arts because I'm a visual artist. But I was saying to him, and as I said, I think we do care about what other people think, but you can't care whether somebody likes your work or not, because not everybody will, and that's a fact. In your environment, there may be nobody that likes your work, but if you shared your work a bit wider, you would find a whole tribe of people that can't get enough of you. And so that's why, or one of the things I was also saying is that we're in, and you're gonna have to forgive the light because it's the natural light coming in, and as you can see, I've got a big window that it's going to need a clean for the studio tours, but not that people are coming in this particular space. Anyway, this is my environment. Sorry to chop and change, but sometimes you're not going to feel like doing it, and sometimes you are going to be driven, and you can't allow what somebody thinks or says to stop you from sharing that work, that piece of work, because that piece of work that you shared, and this has happened to me many times in the past. I've done a piece of work and thought to myself, oh gosh, and then I've shared it, and it touches somebody, and they say, you know, they comment back or write back and say, you know, I'm so glad you shared that piece. It really spoke to me. You know, I've been going through X, Y, and Z. And so you can't, you know, if you feel passionate about doing something, and you feel passionate about, you know, living your dream, or you feel passionate about just really, you know, doing the thing that brings you joy, then don't care. Don't care so much about whether somebody else likes your work. And one of the things that happened to me many years ago was, you know, somebody had said they didn't particularly like my work, and there was nothing wrong with it. When I look back, it was that they didn't like that style of work, but the way they expressed it, I just felt crushed. And for a whole year after that, I stopped drawing. I was drawing lots of portraits and things like that, but I just stopped. I was crushed. So I'm just encouraging you not to, you know, spend too much time listening to what others say. I mean, and don't believe the hype, you know, don't get high on your own supply. You know, just do what you're doing and share it. You know, don't, like, you know, for the people who say, oh my gosh, you're so wonderful, you're this, you're this, you're this. Sometimes we can allow it to get to our heads, and I've been in that position where people say to me, oh gosh, you seem so, I think it was just underwhelmed, because do you know what, at the end of the day, I feel my work is about blessing people, and it is about, if somebody says, that piece of work really touched me and it made me feel this, or it made me, you know, explore that. That means more to me than somebody saying, oh, you're so fantastic, you're so wonderful. And so that is really what I really believe, that there is, you know, a kind of vibration, energy that flows through the work that we do, and we can set an intention. Like my intention whenever I create is about being a blessing, is about loosely this piece of work impacting somebody in some way. That is my loose intention every time I create. So I don't kind of have to think now, okay, so my intention is it's going to heal somebody of cancer and this and this. It is, anytime I create, it's not about that I feel I want to create this. I mean, there are things that I do, like, you know, like I might get inspired to create, and I will show you this. This is a sneak preview of one of the pieces, and I love it. So I'm not even sure whether I'll put it on. I really do, and I haven't yet finished them, but they're kind of wall hangings, kind of batik. I've been experimenting with the batik style, and I've created these wall hangings, but they're not finished. So and what it was, that there's another one there, and I'm just looking at it now, looking at the light kind of shining through. It's so cool. I love it. So I was just driven to create these, amongst the things that I'm already trying to finish off for, you know, the tour coming. But anyway, that said, so I want to just encourage you as artists. You know, we have to encourage one another and not kind of get all kind of precious about, you know, I think the groups that I've been in where people have been openly sharing about their techniques, like, you know, I'll tell anybody about the kind of techniques, and some of my techniques that I come across, or, you know, some of the materials I'm working in, is because I'm playing and experimenting. And I find this, I was saying this about the way that my son uses technology. So the millennials always seem to kind of know how to use the latest technology, and for the rest of us it's just like, oh, how do you turn this on again? And okay, so I might not be speaking for you, but there are some things, like when my son hooked up his PlayStation to the TV and the movie channel, or whatever however he did it, it was just like, oh, Connie, how did you do that? And he'll just take the control and just go, and then it's done, and it's just like, no, I want to know how you did it. I can see that you can do it, but unless you show me what you did, then, I'm going to have to, I think, I was going to say our generation, you think you're going to break it. And you think, oh my gosh, I'm useless at this. But I think what it is, it's about the playing, it's about the experimenting and not fearing that, is something going to break. Anyway, so that was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. And yes, it is Arts and Wellness Wednesday. So the other thing that we must be mindful of, and it is about doing an art activity. And so I've talked about this before. I'm hoping next week to share with you an interview that I did with an artist who may be doing a theatre production this month for February. And so I won't even say the name yet. I need to confirm. But I will share the interview with you. And it's the way in which we can use art to, and I talk about this all the time, impact our health and well-being. So I do a lot of journaling, and I create a lot of journals, and you'll see videos on journals. And the other thing that I was saying was, it's funny that I share a lot of videos on art journaling, but they're not necessarily reflective of the work that you might see, say, sculptures. I do my sculptures. I'm definitely not sharing enough of the sculptures, and I'm going to get on to that, get on top of that. And that is I guess that is the thing that I find, I will, if it's an exhibition, I'll show the sculptures, but on social media, I guess I feel not precious about them, but because, well, all my art is coming from me. I was going to say, because it's coming from me, I feel a bit kind of hesitant, and that isn't it either, but that's part of it. But it's almost as if you're exposing part of yourself, and I think that's my honest opinion in terms of some of the work. Oh gosh, I'm lifting this particular piece up. It's because it's got other things in it. So this one is called Market Day, and it's a sculpture I did in one of the crop overs, and I've kind of amended it slightly. There's additional bits to it, but I did that particular piece as a result of coming to Barbados, and you learn about the history, and you learn so many other things. Well, I have, and you see images of women with heavily laden items on their head, and it's usually done in a romantic view. They've got white turbans on, or flowing white dresses, and I thought to myself, or especially when you see elderly women, and it's just like, do you know what, you could be my mum, the image could be my mum, and you shouldn't be carrying that heavy bleh. You shouldn't be carrying that heavy load on your head. You should be, I don't know, playing with the grandchildren, or tending your garden, or a whole host of other things, but not having to eke out a living on the contents of what you've got on your head in that basket, and you're going to the market. And so some of my works have there's an emotional side to it, where it touches on different things, different stories. Each piece has a story. So that's the sculptural piece. So I'm going to be sharing Nala's interview that I did, and I will share the video of his interview so that you can see it, and I'll be sharing that. Will I be sharing the video next week? I'll be sharing the audio on the podcast, and so I hope to share the video. And he talks about mental health, and the way that he uses art, and he uses it as social commentary, and talks about the variety of different things that are happening on the island and wider, and how they impact on the community. And it's got some very powerful work, so I hope you do get a chance to listen in. And remember to share this video and share the audio. Anyway, so let us get on now, finally, to the Artist Studio Tours Barbados 2020. There are over 30 artists, and you might have seen some of these brochures around. They're in most of the hotels, if not all of them. They're in the Ins and Outs Barbados. They're in on my podcast. I've been leaving links on my podcast, on my blog. What else? Where else have we been sending these out? Restaurants, stores. So you will find this island-wide. You will also find it on our website, www.artisttoursbarbados.com, and I'll leave the link below. So in this particular brochure, in this particular brochure, it will show you all the artists that are taking part. Some of them are collectives, and they are going to be at let me see. Where is she? There's a selection of where is it now? They're all going to be at the Clay Market. So you've got, there's it's our ceramicists and artists who work with clay, and they're all going to be at the Clay Market. And the Clay Market number 5 is at Red Clay Pottery. Yeah, so that's Maggie Bell. Maggie Bell. Her and her father own the Red Clay Pottery, and they do, lots of brilliant, beautiful work. And they also, if you're interested in buying clay, they don't make it, but that's where you can buy your clay from. We've got videos of the process that they use to produce the clay on our Artist Studio Tours. Anyway, so you've got Earth and Fire Studios, you've got Contemporary Studios, Ceramic Barbados, Michelle Greaves, and I think that's it for clay artists. And then you've got painters, you've got sculptors, you've got Black Art Studios, you've got myself as a mixed media artist. I do textiles and clay and fabric and paper clay. Textile artists, you've got Margaret Herbert, and who else? Handmade newspaper art, you've got Adriana Seymour. Jewelry artists, you've got Cher Antoinette. Anne Rudder does heraldic, is a heraldic artist. And then the photographer, Ronnie Carrington. And then the painters of the group, you've got Julianne Gill, Kathy Akins, Gina Chantrani, Alison Chapman-Andrews, Heidi Berger, Julie Seymour, Keela Watts, Gina Foster, Maria Stanford, Cyan Pampaloni, Yasmin, Princess Belinda, Lorna Wilson, Reginald Gill, Lillian Sten, Penny Rowlett, and Frank Cossey. So they're all the artists. So they're the kind of 3 groups of kind of work. So you've got the ceramicists, you've got the textiles, you've got the sculptors, and at Black Art Studios, you've not only got Kenneth Blackman, you've got Anika Small, who's a painter as well and does mixed media, and then you've got all the painters. And this is the brochure. There's an interactive Google map on our website, so you can also download this from our website. And on the back, it's got a map of Barbados, and it's got the link to all the artists. So for my podcasters, I will, if you come onto my blog or my Patreon blog, you will see the images that I shared, you know, come and see the video as well as listening in. Yeah, it's on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, the 15th and 16th of February and the 14th and 15th of March. Now, the March dates also coincide with the Caribbean Fine Art Fair. So the Caribbean Fine Art Fair is from the 11th of March, which is the opening gala, and you've got the Fire This Time, a film documentary of the arts in Barbados by Alan Springer. And the Caribbean Fine Art Fair runs until the 15th of March. So you've got lots happening and lots to sink your teeth in, and, you know, gather with friends, you know, jump in a carpool and come to all of the studios. The studio tour times is from 11 till 5. So that gives you enough time. So if you break it down into, you know, the 2 days, and on Saturday you do one half of the island and break for lunch and go and see a few more, and then the Sunday you do the rest, or you dip in. And that's the great thing about the website, is that you've not only got the names of the artists, you'll be able to see some of their work, and you'll be able to visit their websites and go on and kind of, you know, make a list of the studios you're going to go to first and try and fit all of them in. You've got some amazing people on this tour, and even if you don't buy their work, you know, a lot of them, I was going to say, even if you don't buy their work, you will make a lot of beautiful connections. Now, most of the artists have not only selling their work, but they've also got smaller things, you know, things that if you're starting your art collection, you can start with a card or you can start with a print. So there's prices that fit most budgets. So make sure you budget for the weekend to come. Not this weekend, so next weekend, and enjoy it. It's going to be a really fantastic time. It's really nice. So I've been on and I've done. It's tiring. It's tiring for us as artists, you know, to prepare, and I'm still in the midst of preparing. Oh yeah, and these are some of the signs you can see. So look out for that when you're coming down to number 15 on the map, and I will have the large sign outside my studio, and I have these on the main road, but I'm on the old airport road just by Carter's if you happen to come and visit me on Saturday and Sunday. So it is going to be, yeah, it's going to be an amazing event, and it's going to be a fun event, and we're all looking forward to meeting everybody, and, you know, to come down and to stay in touch, you know, to leave your details on our mailing list so that we can get in contact with you. And I'm all over social media, so from the blog, the podcast, the website, I do the YouTube videos, and I also do gardening videos. You can't actually see outside of my garden at the moment, but yeah, it would be really lovely for you to, you know, stay updated and to sign up to my mailing list, and I will always keep you informed of all the things that are going on. So I'll also leave the link in the description to the Barbados Visual Arts event, and it's published by Corrie Scott. Every month she collates all of the different exhibitions. There's big fly. Yeah, details of exhibitions and workshops and shows and articles and more. Over 200 pages. It's an online magazine, so it's over 200 pages that she's brought together, and she does that every month. She's been doing it for years, and I remember coming down to Barbados and making sure that I had my copy of I had gone through the online magazine so I could see what things were coming up, so that when we were here I could go and connect with artists. So we've got, in this month's magazine, we've got a feature there. There's also kind of links as well, but I'll definitely leave the links below of all of the contacts for our website, so that you can go on, download the map, make sure you've got Google Map link on your phone. And what you'll be able to do is, when you go on the map on our website and you click on, the location, it will tell you, do you want to open it up in the Google Maps? So you just open it up into that, and then you'll be able to get there. Now, remember that as far as we can, we've made sure that all of the location links on the map is directly on the artist studio. But look out for the signs. It might be out like 2 or 3 doors, because for mine there's a house next door, and that's where the map was showing that that's my studio. Anyway, so my studio is also accessible to those who are wheelchair bound or have difficulty walking. There's 2 steps and just 1 step into the house, so it's very accessible if you're in a wheelchair. So I'm looking forward to welcoming you, and think about what it is you want to do, and what it is you want to do to be creative. Now, we can often talk about those things, and we spend a lot of time talking about it, but we don't actually do. So what I want you to do is to put an incense burning down there by my feet. Anyway, but what I want you to do is to really think about what it is you want, because we can sit and wait and hope that somebody spots us or discovers us. And this is something that I used to do when I was little. I used to stand on my parents' balcony, and I used to sing at the top of my lungs, hoping that a record producer would be driving by. And I was saying to my son, record producers don't necessarily, they'd be driving at speed, at least 40 miles an hour. So to think that whilst I'm standing on my balcony, that just at that moment a record producer would drive past slow enough to hear me singing, think, oh, I know where that's coming from, drive around to my house and say to my parents, oh, I'm a record producer and your daughter has got a beautiful voice. It never happened. So you're in a unique time where technology is so widely available. Press share, press post. And you can't allow fear to take over you sharing and showing your work. There's 7 and a bit billion people, and I know I've said this before in a post, 7 billion people. If you only connected with 1% of that 7 billion, that's 75 million. Now, I always say I don't even need 75 million people. What I need to do for me is focus on those who are connected with me at the moment, because we can think about, oh yes, if only I had another, 1 million subscribers, 1 million this, 100 this, 10,000 this. And it's not to say that those things won't come, but whatever you're doing, if you've already got people who've subscribed to your channel, subscribe to your post, focus on those people and build the connection with those people. And that's one of the audits that I did for myself. I kind of looked through all the platforms that I'm on, and rather than say, oh, this is not, it's not showing big enough, I need more, I thought to myself, you need to focus on these people, because these people showed up for you. These people hit the subscribe button. These people pressed follow because they wanted to hear about, what you're doing. And so as you think about those things and think about what kind of value you're bringing, what is your message that you're bringing, how are you showing up? Are you showing up for yourself? Then your platform will grow. The other thing is you've got to be ready for where you are and ready for the next step. Because if you're not ready to even deal with 100 people who may have followed your channel, how can you deal with 100,000? You know, you can't, because you're not even connecting with those 100 people or 5 people, for instance, you know. And so I really just want you to think about the next steps and think about the direction and the focus and the things that you say you want to do, but the things that you're not doing to get you to that point, and the things that you need to do, the nurturing that needs to go on. I mean, even around this, you know, studio tours, it can be a very stressful time, and we've been putting in a lot of work to try and share the message, share the studio, share the information, and you know, and whilst also doing the things that we were doing before, and you know, creating the work. And so even for us, we have to take that step back and nurture and renew our energy and find time to just spend doing the things that are important to us. And so as you go forward and as you make plans to come to the studio tour, I want you to prepare yourself and to take your time, pace yourself, so that you can see all of the studios. You know, maybe even choose your favorites first and then try and get to see all of them, because you'll get something from every one of them, something different from every one of them. And you know, it's a brilliant way to just be inspired and to be encouraged. So I'm going to leave that there for now, and I'm just going to say, oh, the other thing that I wanted to do, yeah, that was the other thing that I wanted to do. So if you're not in the country, I'm not sure about the other artists, but I'm going to be doing a live feed, and not a live feed. That commits me to do a live feed on the day. Maybe a few days after, or a couple of days. No, yeah, a few days after. So if you haven't managed to get to the studio to come and see me, number 15 on the map, if you haven't managed to come and see me, then I will be doing video and walking around the space and looking at some of the work. I'll also do a blog post and have some images of the day, and yeah, you know, it's gonna be fun. But if you're not in the country and you're not able to get here, but you wanna be able to still be part of the studio tour experience, the artist studio tour experience, then I will be doing a live. I keep saying that I will be doing a live. I think I'll be doing a video. Dog. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Take care for now, and look forward to seeing you. Look forward to connecting with you. Stay blessed and be a blessing.